we have a
Okay, at 7 o'clock, is everyone ready to begin? I call this special meeting of Saanich Council to order on August 11th. Tonight's meeting is for the purpose of a public hearing. Following the public hearing, Council will pass a motion to move in camera. Let me read the public hearing procedure. It is as follows. The clerk will introduce the item, following which Council will be given an opportunity to ask questions of staff. I will then request the applicant to present his or her proposal to the Council and the public. Following the applicant's presentation, I will call for a total of 3 times for those persons wishing to be heard either in favor or in opposition to the application. If you wish to speak on the item being considered, please come up to the microphone and state your name and address, and then give your comments. Once the call for public input has been given 3 times consecutively, no further representation from the public can be considered. After all persons wishing to address Council have been heard, I will ask the applicant to respond to any questions, new information, or factual matters raised by the speakers. Once the applicant has been provided an opportunity to respond, I will then close the public hearing and ask Council to debate the matter. So with that, let's begin. Madam Clerk, can you please introduce the first item?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would start by just indicating that although we had previously noted that there was a potential for in-camera meeting, as noted on the public hearing agenda, there is no in-camera meeting this evening, so I just wanted to put that forward for clarity. In regard to agenda item A, which is 4601 Cordova Bay Road, before Council is the zoning bylaw 2003, amendment bylaw 2015, number 9345. This is to rezone parcel A of lot A, plan 11854 at 4601 Cordova Bay Road from RS18 to RS12 for the purpose of a subdivision to create 1 additional lot for single-family dwelling. A development variance permit will be considered to allow the variance for lot width. A covenant will also be considered. Council is in receipt of reports of the Director of Planning dated July 24th and May 25th, 2015 and September 5th, 2012, recommending approval of the rezoning application and development variance permit, that final reading of the zoning amendment and ratification of the development variance permit be withheld pending registration of a covenant to secure the following. Geotechnical reports to be registered on title. The owner will save the district and province harmless in the case of erosion, slippage, slope, or soil failure on the property. The owner of the land will use the land only in the manner certified by the qualified professionals as enabling the safe use of the land for the use intended. The owner will reimburse the district for any expenses incurred as a result of the breach of the covenant. The buildings are to be built to Energuide 82 level or energy efficiency equivalent. The buildings conform to the siting generally in character to what is shown on the plans presented to Council December 2013 and buildings being dated July 16, 2015. The buildings have the necessary ducting and conduit installed to be so already, and a contribution of 2,000 to Saanich Parks for the safe standing area for bus stops. Council is also in receipt of letters from the applicant, three letters that have been received by the applicant. Letters from the Cordova Bay Community Association and Friends of Mount Duck Park. 1 letter of petition in support of the application with 11 signatures, 2 letters from residents, and that is the extent, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Does Council have any questions for staff before I ask the applicant up to the microphone? Seeing none, I'll then ask the applicant, or is there a representative up to the microphone to speak to 4601 Cordova Bay Road?
There we go. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for the opportunity to come tonight and speak to you about 4601 Cordova Bay Road. So as stated, tonight is we're here to discuss the rezoning development variance permit and subdivision application for 1 additional lot, totaling 2 lots for 4601 Cordova Bay Road. The property is located in Cordova Bay on north side of Cordova Bay Road, within the Mount Douglas Parkway, just past Ocean Park Lane. Some application details. The site area is approximately 35,000 square feet. We'll be dividing into 2 lots of almost equal size. The current zoning is RS18, which is the predominant zone to the west of the property in the south. And we're rezoning it to RS12, which is the predominant zoning to the west of the property. The current local area plan designation is general residential. Sorry, it's cut off there. So the proposal in summary, we'll start at the north end of the property, the top there. There will be that dark green, which is the steep slope protection area. Moving down, there's the setback area for the RS12 zone. There's a sewer right-of-way expansion, which is the maroon part coming from the west. And then the yellow is the proposed building envelopes. So as you can see, they're well back from the RS12 potential setback area, and that was in order to protect the steep slope of the marine backshore area. The rest of the lot will remain in its current state. This is just a street view looking north-west. The yellow indicates the building envelope. There's extensive vegetation and a fence that currently screens the street, so the impact of the new construction is very minimal. This is looking towards the northeast, and due to the slope of the road, it's an even lesser impact. As you can see, there's the fence there, and then extensive vegetation. So we are asking for a variance permit as well. The yellow is the subject property and its proposed lot line dividing the property. North of Cordova Bay Road, in the immediate area, there's only 2 lots that actually conform to the zoning bylaw in terms of its lot width. The rest are all non-conforming. And I only show this to convey that the variance permit won't adversely affect the fabric of the neighborhood. The lots don't conform in their lot width existing. And if we look to the south of Cordova Bay Road, there's only 3 lots that conform. And if you look at the bottom right-hand corner, there's quite a few that are 17 meters there. So, you know, it does fit with the existing lot dimensions of the neighborhood. Talking about parking and traffic, the geometric design for Caney Road suggests that a 50-kilometer-an-hour road has a 90 to 120 meter sight line. So the orange arrow indicates a 90-meter sight line. And looking west, you can see that there is 150 meters of visibility. So the west view is good. Looking north, there is only 75 meters of sight line. So it is short of the suggested standard for that road speed. And to mitigate this, there's ample parking on the site. There's an existing gravel pad, and what we're proposing to do is a turnaround area so that no cars would back onto Cordova Bay Road. They'd all drive on, just for additional safety and an enhanced view of the road. In terms of parking on site, there will be 2 parking stalls in the garages. The zone requires 2 off-street parking stalls, so those are handled within the garages. In addition to that, there is a gravel pad there that can accommodate many more cars. And all that's shown here is just a template of what a T turnaround would look like with 4 additional stalls per lot. So it's just to convey a template of dimensions, that's all. In the design covenant that will be registered on title, there is a covenant to provide an additional 2 gravel pad stalls for a total of 4 stalls per lot required. And so this is just to show that they can easily be accommodated in terms of area. Using the IT manual, it's 9.57 trips per day in additional traffic, which is a 0.07% increase to Cordova Bay Road, so it's quite a small impact to the road system. So this wasn't on the previous presentation, so I'll spend a little more time on this. This is the current home design, designed by an architect. And it's very traditional, so I'm only going to talk about 3 sets of elevations. The 2 drawings are mirrors, the 2 lots are the mirrored designs. So this is the rear elevation, so this is what will be facing the ocean. And the style of the building is your traditional craftsman architecture. Low-pitched roofs, decorative supports, tapered columns, and multiple pane windows. You'll see in the design covenant, these things are all laid out as well, but earth tones, natural materials, and then the use of stone to anchor the design. And when we say natural materials, wood siding. This would be the front elevation, so it's facing Cordova Bay Road. Similar to the rear in terms of its material and design of the architecture. This would be the left elevation, so the side as it runs with the site, left being towards the ocean, right being towards Cordova Bay Road. Once again, just it runs with the site to mitigate the height of the structure, but it's fully within the RS12 zoning. In terms of community consultation, so we reached out, we made applications. Saanich sent a referral on April of 2012 to the Community Association. In October of 2014, we did a presentation to the Community Association. And then in November, we received a letter from the Community Association supporting the application unanimously. Below is just an excerpt of that letter. On January 2015, another referral went out, no additional comments were received. And then based on feedback from the previous committee of the whole meeting, there were some questions around an additional amenity. And so we went back to the Community Association and asked, what would you like to see as an additional amenity on the property or in the area? And we didn't receive any input from that, so we went with the Parks Department recommendation, and I'll come back to that in just a moment. But we did do some additional door knocking on the surrounding neighbors, and this map just represents green means A-OK, we're good with the project, signed a letter of support. The yellow is the subject property. Gray just means that no one was home, we knocked, wasn't able to get in touch with the homeowners, but no one we talked to had any objections to the application. In terms of the environment, tree removal, left, red, tree removal. Right, green, it's going to stay. We are going to do a 2-to-1 tree replacement strategy for what has to come out, but those 3 trees are going to be removed for the building envelope. In terms of the project benefits, we believe it's a small adaptive change. It integrates through the design covenant to the neighborhood, and that will be secured. It provides some economic benefits, and it does utilize the existing structure in the area with soft and hard infrastructure. We will be installing a street light on the Cordova Bay Road, and then also $2,000, and this was the Parks Department request, was $2,000 towards a bus stop, safe standing area towards the entrance to Mount View Park. So that is about 1,400 meters to the east of the property. In terms of the environment, we did design as best we could to mitigate tree loss. We are going to commit to a 2-to-1 tree replacement. We are going to covenant to protect the marine backshore and steep slope area. The buildings will have solar-ready conduit and piping installed. We're committing to an Energuide 82. We will commit to deconstruction of the house, the use of permeable pavers wherever possible. In summary, the application is supported by the Community Association based on the letters received. The Cordova Bay Road area residents from the letters of support that we have and the petition that we have signed. The 2 reports from district planning staff support our application, and then also district's policy documents. And that concludes my presentation. Happy to take any questions that council may have.
Thank you. Councilor Murdoch has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you to the proponent. I just wanted to confirm something that I asked about during the committee of the whole, and that was about the design scheme for the houses, and I appreciate that you provided that for us here this evening. And I just want to confirm the language and the recommendations that there'll be a restrictive covenant, and one of the things that we will include is that the buildings will conform to the site in general and character to what's shown on the plans presented to council, as well as the buildings being dated July 16, 2015. I just want to be certain that what we've seen tonight is that document, or at least an image from that document.
Please go ahead.
Yep, through the chair. Sorry, through the mayor. That's correct. On page 2 of the staff report, there is the text from the design covenant, and that is what we're coming to. And what you saw tonight is 100% from schedule, what will form Schedule A, which is the general character of the design.
Okay, excellent. Thanks very much.
Any more questions from council? All right, seeing none, thank you very much. All right, this time I'd like to open up the public input period and invite members of the public to come and speak for or against this application. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak? Please come forward.
Do I have to press this button? No, it's already Kate Matlock, and I own 4559 Cordova Bay Road. and I'd like to speak in support of it. I think it fits the general scheme of the other development that's gone in the area, and I think they've done a really nice job of addressing any additional concerns. Really nice presentation. I think it just makes a lot of sense, so I'd like to speak in full support of it. That's all.
Great, thank you. Are there any of the members of the public wish to speak on this application? For or against, please come forward. Calling for a second. Calling for a second time? Come on up.
No.
Any members of the public wish to speak? Calling for a third time? Okay, seeing none. Director Dermott? Oh, sorry, Councilor Dermott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will move the recommendation and speak to it briefly. This is a modest infill. It's not in possibly the most desirable region in terms of closeness to services and things like that, but it's by far not the worst either. There are opportunities for people to cycle. The terrain lends itself to that, and or walk if they so choose. The applicant, I think, has gone a long way in answering the concerns that the council had at an earlier public hearing, and has presented, I think, an answer to every concern that council had. So given all those things, I have no problem in supporting this and wish the applicant the best with this project. Thank you.
Any more discussion on the recommendation? Councilor Haynes.
I'd just like to concur with my colleague. There's a lot about this application that I think is highly commendable. And I'd like to compliment them on their visuals demonstrating how they looked into traffic issues, the sight lines, their 2-for-1 replacement of trees, and their care in the building envelope of only taking out 3 trees. They've been very careful how they sited on this lot to make sure that the geotech elements were appropriate. And of course, they don't want the house to be in the ocean, so they're motivated to do that. But I do appreciate how they've gone into the covenant area and agreed to covenants on that and will not hold the city liable. I like that they took the time and paid attention to the local situation of other lot sizes, other house sizes, and they seem to me to have worked quite hard to keep it in a compatible fashion. So I think this is a very nice application and I will support it.
Any more discussion from council? Seeing none, I'll call the question on the motion to rezone from RS 18 and with the respective covenants covering items A to H. Call the question. All in favor? Opposed? That motion is carried unanimously. Can we have a second motion for second reading of bylaw number 9345?
Move second reading.
Thank you. Call the question on that. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried unanimously. Can we have a motion for a third reading of bylaw number 9345?
Move third reading.
Thank you. Call the question on that. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried unanimously. And finally, a motion for recommendation to approve development variance permit DBP 00318. Call the question on that. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. All right, with that, I think we can move to the second item. Madam Clerk, would you please introduce it for us?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This next item is 785 Halliburton Road, 40.
And Councilor Bergman has asked to recuse himself on this item.
Thank you. Thank you for that. This next item is 785 Halliburton Road, 4932 Wesley Road. Before council is the zoning bylaw 2003, amendment bylaw 2015, number 9316, to rezone lot C, plan 9499, that's just 785 Halliburton Road, and rezone lot 5, plan 9380, 4932 Wesley Road, from A1 to RS10 for purpose of a subdivision to create 4 additional lots for single-family residential use. An exemption from the 10% perimeter road frontage requirement for Panhandle Lot number 3 will be considered. A covenant will also be considered to further restrict the development of the lands. Council is in receipt of reports from the Director of Planning dated July 23rd, 2015, January 26th, 2015, and August 5th, 2014, recommending approval of the rezoning application, recommending exemption of proposed Lot 3 from the statutory requirement under the Local Government Act in regard to 10% perimeter road frontage, and the final reading of the zoning amendment be withheld pending registration of the covenant, that the new dwellings on proposed lots 1 through 6 conform to a minimum built green gold Energuide 82 or an equivalent energy efficiency rating, and also that the construction of new dwellings include rough-in for future solar capabilities, that the covenant further would restrict that the properties conform to the siting, general form and character, and the use of materials as per the plans by Outline Home Design, as shown in the reports, and to the guidelines of the building scheme dated November 19th, 2014, and to include 6 additional parking spaces, including 2 car garages and on-site parking for an additional 4 cars per lot. And also that prior to final reading of the zoning amendment, the applicant provide a sum of $13,200 performance security for planting of replacement trees on site and or elsewhere in the local community if no room can be found to plant replacement trees on site. Council is in receipt of letters from the applicant dated November 18th, 2014, letter from Community Association of Strawberry Vale, Marigold in Glanford, and 2 letters from the Cordova Bay Community Association. 20 letters from residents have been received. That is the extent, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Before I ask the applicant to come forward, does council have any questions for staff? Seeing none, I'd like to invite the applicant forward. Please come forward.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Roger Tinney. I'm the project planner, and with me this evening is the owner, James Gardner. Just taking a minute to get the presentation started here. This is a property and an application that's been in works for quite some time. Just to give you a little bit of background before I bring you up to this evening's details. It consists of 2 parcels zoned A1. It's in the Cordova Bay area, and it's an unusual piece of property in the sense that it's got 4 frontages. I don't think I've ever seen that before. It's got frontage on Halliburton Road, frontage on Wesley, frontage on Lemaire Place, and frontage also on Halliburton Place. And you might recall from many months ago at Committee of the Whole meeting, the property is consistent with the official community plan, it's consistent with the Cordova Bay local area plan, and it's inside the urban containment boundary. And the last time you saw this application was February of this year. And at that time, there was a motion put forward to postpone making a decision on the application so that the applicant could go back and consult further with the neighborhood and also review some design details and various aspects of the application that seem to be recurring on a number of occasions, both at community meeting presentations, Cordova Bay presentations, and at Committee of the Whole itself. This is just the next couple of slides is a little bit of background information, not only for council, but for members of the public that are perhaps new to the application. Originally, it started out as a 7-lot application. And the issues that came up at that time, you can see on March 27th and May 8th, was actually the number of lots itself, whether 7 is appropriate. Also, the issue of panhandle lots, of which it was proposed at the time, potential traffic impacts, water pressure, which is one that you don't often see, but perhaps in our drought that we're in now, it's more common. And the issue of trees, there's roughly 62 trees on the property, some of which are bylaw protected and some not. There was further meetings held on November 13th of 2013 and December 11th, and again, the issue of the number of lots came up, the potential for the elimination of the panhandle, Again, we see trees, water pressure, traffic, and more detail on the house design and layouts and what the finished product will actually look like. And the applicant responded as best he could to those comments. The proposal did drop from 7 lots to 6, and the layout you see here is what was presented to you roughly in February of this year. And some of the concerns I'll get into in more detail when I bring up the current proposal, but the thing that jumped out to me when I was asked to get involved in this project, and I actually got involved just shortly after the February public hearing that was postponed, with the same number of issues came up 2, 3, 4 times. It didn't seem to matter what group was being presented to, the same items came up. So that was certainly the focus of my involvement, was to see how we could better discuss that with the neighborhood and possibly come up with some solutions that would work for all. And again, you can see here at Committee of the Whole, there was a rat problem on the property because there was 2 dilapidated houses, which seemed to be the source of rats for many people in the area. Those 2 houses are now gone. Again, you see traffic, increased traffic and parking on Lemaire Place. Again, water pressure, loss of privacy, access to public transit, and again, more detail and clarity on the design and style of the houses are going to be built. I won't spend a lot of time on these next couple of slides. I think they're in your agenda package, but they show what the house designs are going to look like. And as you scroll through the slideshow, you can see the little index map on the bottom moves to which lot the house is pertaining to. Right now we're looking at lot 2, which is accessed off of Lemaire Place. These houses, I would sort of describe them as typical of Saanich/Cordova Bay area homes in the 3,500 to 3,800 square foot range. And again, of the 6 homes that are proposed, access is off of all 4 frontages. And this is some various views of the different homes. There's a building scheme, again noted in your agenda package, that will be registered against the property. And all of the previous commitments made by the applicant still stand, of course. The Built Green Standard or EnerGuide 82, solar ready, and the building scheme, of course, ensures that the finished product will be designed and built as shown, give or take a little bit of adjustment as needed for a potential buyer. So again, at the public hearing, again, you see the same general list of items come up, and that's, I think, round 5 now at least, if not 6, that we've seen those list of items. And at the bottom is when I became involved shortly after that. First thing I did was hand-delivered notices to area residents in the immediate area. I discussed it with the Cordova Bay Ratepayers Association president. And the bulk of my discussion and conversation was with the Lemaire residents. There's 4 property owners on that little cul-de-sac. They were most interested in the property and the application. The other homeowners that called just had some general questions, but overall they seem to be fine with the application. And a little hard to see on this screen, but this is the application now, and I'll walk you through that in a little bit more detail. First, just noting that there's an arborist, of course, involved in the project, which is Talbot Mackenzie. I'm very familiar with projects in Saanich for many, many years. And the list of trees on the left, which identifies protected trees and non-protected trees. And the legend up on the right, which shows circles and triangles, indicates which trees are being removed and which are being retained. And I'm going to leave this image up on the screen and just refer to, there's roughly 10 items in your agenda package on a letterhead that I provided as a report addressed to Mayor and Council. And if you wanted to follow along with that list with me, and I'll do my best using the mouse to point on the map as to the various items that we're discussing. And these were largely generated from meetings I had with the Lemaire resident property owners. And for your orientation, Lemaire is the cul-de-sac that's at the bottom or the south side of the property. And item number 1, if you're on that page or following along, pertains to the access or proposed access off the end of Lemaire Place, which is right here. Discussions with engineering, initially we were trying to nail down how wide that opening would have to be to serve those two strata lots coming in off of Lemaire. And discussions ranged anywhere from 4 meters to 6 meters in width. And not surprisingly, the residents, and the applicant for that matter, was interested in the lesser of the width than wider. And the reason for that is, if you've ever been up to Lemaire Place, it's a lovely, quiet, dead-end cul-de-sac, and the property right now is heavily forested at that end of the cul-de-sac. So it gives a very nice treed appearance when you pull into your property or to do a lap around the cul-de-sac. And the idea is to try and minimize that opening into the wooded area so that that ambience isn't lost. So we and the residents are certainly leaning towards more of the 4-meter range than the 6-meter, but I had indicated to them that final details of the width would be eventually coming from engineering and would be bound by that, whatever that number happens to be. The other item number 2, also pertains to that entrance opening, and they were wondering, rather than just simply having an opening coming off the end of the cul-de-sac into the woods, could there be something demarcating the entrance, like some decorative stone gates or something like that? And the applicant has agreed to do that, and he has also agreed to work with the residents so they could have a hand in actually designing what the entrance gates look like, rather than just imposing something onto their neighborhood. Item number 3 pertains to the back of lot number 3. And this dark tone on the site plan represents a berm with cedar hedging on top of it, and then there would also be a wood privacy fencing behind that. That was initiated for a number of reasons. There was some concern that if this property is developed, and on the Halliburton Road side, there's a bus stop, that this might be a nice invitation for pedestrians to wander down Lemaire through the woods or through these private properties out the other side and onto the bus stop in Halliburton, and vice versa. So the berm, the hedge, and the fence were obviously to deter that. And also